Let's talk about a situation that might feel painfully familiar. You've poured a ton of resources into AI training. Your completion rates are climbing, the activation numbers look great, and everybody seems to be getting AI literate. And yet, AI still hasn't really changed how anyone in your organization actually does their job. If that's hitting close to home, this explainer is for you. And I'll give you a hint, the answer has almost nothing to do with your employees.
Okay, let's just get right to the heart of it with this chart. On paper, everything might look fantastic. You see a training completion rate of, say, 91% and you think, we're winning. But then you look at what actually matters, how often AI is being used in the day-to-day workflow, and that number just plummets to 12%. Whoa, that's not just a gap, that is a massive chasm.
So what's really going on here, right? If it isn't the training and it's not the people, what is causing this huge disconnect? Well, the problem is that most organizations are diagnosing the completely wrong illness. And because of that, they're prescribing the wrong medicine.
So let's start with a really crucial reframe. Is what we're seeing resistance, or is it just rationality? It's such an important question to ask. See, it's easy for leaders to look at low adoption numbers and just blame it on employees resisting change. But what if we're looking at this whole thing wrong? What if it's not resistance at all? The common diagnosis, the easy one, is to say employees are just stuck in their ways. But the real reason is a lot simpler. Your people are being perfectly rational. I mean, they're busy, their performance is judged by existing metrics, so of course they're going to follow the path of least resistance to get their jobs done.
Yeah, think about it like this. When an employee chooses their old, familiar way of doing things over some new, clunky AI tool, that's not them resisting the future. That's just them being efficient inside the system you've built. It's a feature of your system, not a bug in your people.
And here's exactly why that choice is so often the rational one. For most companies, AI has just been added on top of how things have always been done. It's another step, another login, another tool to juggle. It hasn't been woven into the core process itself. And when using the new thing creates more friction than not using it, people are always going to stick with what they know works.
Okay, so to fix this, we need to understand what we're calling the 3 adoption gaps. These are the structural problems that are quietly sabotaging most AI initiatives. It's not about your people. It's all about your design. Let's break them down.
First up, we have gap number 1, confusing access with adoption. You know, just because you give someone a key to the gym doesn't mean they're suddenly going to start working out. And it's the exact same idea with AI tools.
So here's what that means in practice. True adoption, that only happens when using AI becomes the absolute, undeniable path of least resistance within a redesigned workflow. It's not enough for the tool to be available or even for people to know how to use it. It has to be functionally easier to use it than to not use it. And that, my friends, is an operations challenge, not a training one.
All right, gap number 2 builds right on top of that last point. It's all about measuring the wrong things. It is so easy to create a dashboard full of these nice, green, upward-trending charts that look like progress, but tell you absolutely nothing about whether work is actually changing.
It's kind of like the difference between running on a treadmill and actually crossing a finish line. Those misleading metrics, training completion, tool logins, they're like running in place. They're easy to track, sure, but they don't prove you're getting anywhere. The meaningful metrics track actual behavioral change. For instance, are we generating client reports twice as fast now? Has the first pass of document review been totally automated? You have to define the outcome you want first, then design everything to get you there.
And that brings us to our final and maybe the most critical structural gap, the ownership problem. Just ask yourself this: who in your organization is actually in charge of making this transformation happen? The answer to that question is often the root cause of why everything is failing.
So typically, AI implementation gets handed off to HR or the L&D team. And look, I get it. On the surface, it makes sense. It's about building skills, right? Wrong. Your L&D department has zero authority to go redesign the sales team's workflow or change how the finance department closes its books. The only model that actually works is a cross-functional team that's led by operational leaders, the people who own the workflows and have the real power to change them.
Okay, so that's the theory. Now let's get practical. You can actually diagnose the adoption gap in your own organization just by asking 5 very specific questions about any given workflow.
First question, and be honest with yourself. Is the AI native to the workflow, or is it just bolted on? Did you really redesign the entire process with AI at its core, or did you just hand everyone a shiny new tool and kind of hope they'd figure out where to jam it into the old, creaky process?
Second, who owns the result?
When an AI spits out a report or a piece of code, who is actually accountable for making sure it's accurate? If nobody knows, guess what? That tool will never be trusted or used for any high-stakes work, period.
Third, and this one is so important, does the new process create extra steps, new headaches, or more mental gymnastics for your employees? Because if using AI is harder than the old way is going to win every single time.
Number 4, are people still being measured by old standards? I mean, if you expect AI to double someone's productivity, their performance goals have to reflect that new reality. If they don't, there is zero incentive for them to change.
And finally, the ultimate question: does the team that's driving AI adoption have the actual authority to change the workflow? Or do they only have a mandate to train people inside a process that might already be broken? If the answers to these questions are making you a little uncomfortable, then congratulations, you've just found the real problem.
And this all brings us to the most important takeaway of all. If you want real, meaningful AI adoption, you have to stop trying to solve the wrong problem.
Here it is, the big idea. AI adoption is not a human behavior problem. It is an organizational design problem that's just disguised as one. The second you reframe it like that, as a design problem, the entire path forward changes.
And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Are you building more training modules to fix what you think is a people problem, or are you redesigning your actual workflows to fix a process problem? Because getting the diagnosis right is the only way you'll ever find the right cure.
What?